Let me ask you something very direct. Have you recently looked at your lab results and seen your creatinine going up? Maybe it's at 1.8 or 2.1 or even higher, and you felt that sinking feeling in your stomach? Maybe your doctor looked at you and said, "Your GFR is dropping, we need to watch this very carefully." And you went home that night wondering if dialysis is somewhere in your future. If that's you, I want you to stay right here, because what I'm about to share with you in the next 25 minutes could genuinely change the direction of your kidney health, starting today, with food you can make in your own kitchen for under $10. My name is Dr. David Miller. I'm a nephrologist and registered dietitian with over 25 years of clinical experience working specifically with patients in CKD stage 3 and stage 4. People just like you, dealing with high creatinine, declining GFR, proteinuria, that frustrating foamy urine in the morning, and waking up 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a night to use the bathroom. I've sat across from thousands of patients in my clinic, and I can tell you honestly, the number one thing most people over 60 are getting wrong when it comes to slowing kidney decline is what they're eating every single day. Here's what nobody is telling you on YouTube. It's not just about avoiding potassium or phosphorus. That's important, yes, but there's a whole second layer to kidney nutrition that most videos completely skip over. The anti-inflammatory, creatinine-lowering, GFR protective power of specific soups, prepared the right way, with specific ingredients that have real clinical science behind them. And today, I'm giving you the top 5. Now, before I get into the first soup, and I promise you, soup number 3 is going to surprise you, because most nephrologists never mention it, and it has some of the most compelling research behind it for stage 3 and stage 4 CKD patients. I need to give you one very important warning about a common, healthy soup that millions of seniors are eating right now that could actually be accelerating kidney damage. I'll tell you exactly what it is by the time we get to soup number 2, so don't go anywhere. Let's get into it. Soup number 1, red cabbage and ginger anti-inflammatory broth. The first soup on our list is one that I've been recommending to my stage 3 CKD patients for nearly a decade. And it consistently surprises them because it doesn't look glamorous, it doesn't have an exotic name, and you can find every ingredient at your local Walmart or Kroger for about $4 to $5. It's a red cabbage and fresh ginger broth, and if you've never heard of this combination for kidney health specifically, I want to explain exactly why it works. Red cabbage is one of the most kidney-protective vegetables in existence, and here's the science behind that statement. According to research supported by the National Kidney Foundation, red cabbage is extremely low in potassium compared to most vegetables, roughly 216 milligrams per half cup cooked, which is critical for CKD patients who need to manage potassium carefully. But what most people don't know, and what I think is genuinely exciting from a clinical standpoint, is that red cabbage is loaded with compounds called anthocyanins. These are the same pigments that give it that rich purple-red color, and they have been shown in multiple peer-reviewed studies to reduce oxidative stress in the kidneys, one of the primary drivers of GFR decline in CKD patients over 60. Now let me explain why that matters in plain English. When your kidneys are under stress, from diabetes, high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, your kidney cells generate what scientists call reactive oxygen species, or free radicals. These free radicals essentially speed up the aging and damage of your kidney tissue. Anthocyanins in red cabbage act as powerful neutralizers of those free radicals. They're essentially putting out the fire that's burning your kidney function down. A study published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition found that plant-based antioxidant-rich diets consistently correlated with slower GFR decline in stage 3 and stage 4 CKD patients. Now let's talk about the ginger component, because this is where it gets even more interesting. Fresh ginger contains a bioactive compound called 6-gingerol. Clinical research has demonstrated that 6-gingerol has direct anti-inflammatory effects on renal tubular cells. Those are the tiny tubes inside your kidney that do the actual filtering work. When those cells are inflamed, your kidney can't filter effectively, creatinine builds up in the blood, and your GFR drops. Ginger helps calm that inflammation at the cellular level. Here's how you prepare this soup at home. You want to start with about 4 cups of low-sodium vegetable broth. And I want to stress low sodium because high sodium is one of the worst things a CKD kidney sees. Take 2 cups of thinly shredded red cabbage, 1 tablespoon of freshly grated ginger, not powdered, fresh is significantly more bioactive, 2 cloves of garlic, and half a cup of diced white onion. You'll also add a small amount of rice vinegar, about 1 teaspoon, which actually helps with palatability and adds a gentle acidity that complements the cabbage beautifully. Bring the broth to a gentle simmer, add the onion and garlic, let that soften for about 5 minutes, then add the cabbage and ginger. Simmer on low, not a rolling boil, a gentle simmer for about 20 minutes. The gentle simmer is important because aggressive boiling can degrade some of those heat-sensitive anthocyanin compounds. Add a small pinch of turmeric at the end for additional anti-inflammatory benefit. The portion I recommend for CKD patients in stage 3 or 4 is 1 cup to 1.5 cups per serving, once daily as part of your regular meal. Do not add salt. If you need flavor, a small squeeze of fresh lemon juice at serving is fine. It actually enhances flavor significantly without any sodium burden. This soup costs approximately $4 to $5 to make a full batch of 4 servings. It keeps in the refrigerator for 3 days. One mistake I see patients make. They sometimes add tomato to this soup, thinking it's healthy. Please avoid that for now. Tomatoes are high in potassium and can be a concern in CKD, especially if your potassium levels are already elevated. Always check with your own doctor about your specific potassium status, but as a general guideline for stage 3 and stage 4 patients, keeping tomatoes minimal is wise. I want you to think of this soup as a daily anti-inflammatory rinse for your kidneys. Not a cure, not a miracle, but consistent, targeted nutritional support that works with your medication plan. And that's exactly the kind of tool that, over 30, 60, 90 days, can show up as meaningful improvements in your creatinine and GFR numbers. Speaking of creatinine, the next soup has a very specific and fascinating mechanism for actually helping your body handle creatinine more efficiently. And it involves an ingredient that you've almost certainly heard of, but probably not in this context. Soup number 2, cauliflower and leek cream soup. Before I give you soup number 2, I made a promise at the beginning of this video to tell you about a popular, healthy soup that could actually be damaging your kidneys, and I want to keep that promise right now because this is genuinely important. The soup I'm talking about is canned tomato soup, or any commercially prepared tomato-based soup. Walk down the soup aisle of any grocery store in America, and you'll see dozens of options. Tomato bisque, tomato basil, chunky tomato. They're marketed as healthy, they're low in calories, and they're incredibly popular among seniors. But here's what the label doesn't tell you. A single can of commercial tomato soup can contain anywhere from 700 to over 1,000 milligrams of sodium. For a CKD patient, the recommended daily sodium intake, according to the National Kidney Foundation, is ideally under 2,000 milligrams per day, and that one bowl of soup just burned through half of your entire day's budget. High sodium intake raises blood pressure, which directly accelerates glomerular damage, meaning it speeds up GFR decline. It also promotes fluid retention, which worsens that swelling in the ankles and legs that many of you are dealing with. Beyond sodium, commercial tomato soups are high in potassium, sometimes over 600 milligrams per serving. And for stage 3 and stage 4 patients with compromised potassium excretion, that is a real concern. So please, step away from the canned tomato soup. I know it's convenient, but convenience, in this case, comes at a cost. Now, let me give you something far better. Soup number 2 is a cauliflower and leek cream soup, and I'm particularly fond of this one because it has a rich, creamy, satisfying texture that makes patients feel like they're eating something indulgent, when in reality, it is one of the most kidney-supportive meals they can have. Let me start with cauliflower, because this vegetable deserves a standing ovation in the kidney health world. The National Kidney Foundation explicitly lists cauliflower as one of the top kidney-friendly foods. It is low in potassium, low in phosphorus, and it contains a compound called indole 3-carbinol, which preliminary research suggests may help reduce uremic toxin production in the gut. Uremic toxins, compounds like indoxyl sulfate, are produced when gut bacteria ferment protein, and they are directly nephrotoxic. They damage kidney cells. Anything we can do nutritionally to reduce uremic toxin load is a meaningful strategy for CKD patients. Leeks are equally impressive and far underappreciated in kidney nutrition conversations. They belong to the allium family, same as garlic and onion, and they are rich in a flavonoid called camphorol, which has demonstrated anti-inflammatory and antioxidant activity specifically in renal tissue in animal and in vitro studies. More importantly for my patients, leeks are low in both potassium and phosphorus, making them remarkably safe for stage 3 and 4 CKD. Here's how to prepare this soup. Take 1 medium head of cauliflower, cut into florets, and 2 medium leeks, white and light green parts only, washed thoroughly and sliced. Add 4 cloves of garlic. Now here's a technique that makes a meaningful difference. Before you add everything to the pot, roast the cauliflower florets in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. This caramelization deepens the flavor dramatically and means you won't miss the salt. In a pot, sauté the leeks and garlic in 1 tablespoon of olive oil on medium heat until softened, about 5 to 7 minutes. Add 4 cups of low-sodium vegetable or chicken broth. Add the roasted cauliflower and simmer for 15 minutes. Then, use an immersion blender or transfer to a regular blender carefully and blend until completely smooth and creamy. The cauliflower naturally creates a luscious, velvety texture without needing any cream or milk, which is excellent since many dairy products carry a significant phosphorus burden. Finish with a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil and fresh chives or flat-leaf parsley. The olive oil provides oleocanthal, a natural anti-inflammatory compound, and the parsley adds a burst of freshness. Black pepper to taste is absolutely fine. 1 serving is 1 to 1.5 cups. A full batch makes 4 servings and costs approximately $5 to $6. It freezes beautifully, so you can make a double batch on Sunday and have kidney-friendly meals ready all week. Now I want to stay on the theme of phosphorus for a moment, because soup number 3 directly addresses something that very few nephrologists discuss openly in patient education, and it involves the relationship between your gut, your phosphorus levels, and what happens to your kidney function at night when you're supposed to be resting, but instead you're up 3 times to urinate. Stay with me for this one. Real quick, if you're finding value in this information, I want to ask you a small favor. Hit that like button right now, and then leave a comment below telling me what city and state you're watching from. I ask this every video because our community is growing fast across the United States. We have viewers from Florida, Texas, California, New York, and honestly, all around the world. And I want to see how far this kidney health message is reaching. Every single like and comment helps us reach more seniors who are sitting at home right now worried about their kidneys, not knowing that information like this exists. We're working toward 100,000 subscribers, and with your help, we will get there. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that right now. And make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Now, soup number 3. This one I have been waiting to tell you about. Soup number 3. Silk Road astragalus and shiitake mushroom broth. This is the one I promised you would be surprising. And I want to be very careful here because I'm going to reference actual research and I'm going to be precise about the claims I make because your kidney health is not a place for exaggeration. Soup number 3 is what I call a Silk Road healing broth. It's a light, deeply savory broth built around 2 ingredients, astragalus root and shiitake mushrooms. Now let me explain why I chose this combination and why I believe it deserves a serious place in the kidney health conversation for American seniors. Astragalus membranaceus, known as huangqi in traditional Chinese medicine, has been used for centuries in Asia for kidney and immune support. But here's what makes it compelling from a Western medical standpoint. In the last 2 decades, there has been a growing body of clinical research examining astragalus for CKD. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology reviewed multiple randomized controlled trials involving CKD patients and found that astragalus-based interventions were associated with improvements in serum creatinine levels, GFR, and proteinuria compared to control groups. Now, I want to be responsible here. The research is promising but still developing. We do not have large-scale FDA-validated trials the same way we do for pharmaceutical medications. What we do have is a strong mechanistic understanding. Astragalus contains bioactive polysaccharides and saponins, particularly astragaloside 4, that have demonstrated direct renoprotective effects in animal models, reducing renal fibrosis, which is the scarring process that drives CKD progression. You can purchase dried astragalus root slices at many Asian grocery stores, health food stores like Whole Foods or Sprouts, or online, typically for around $6 to $8 for a good-sized bag that will last you many batches of soup. Now let's add the shiitake mushrooms, because this pairing is clinically intentional, not just culinary. Shiitake mushrooms are one of the rare foods that are kidney-safe and contain a compound called lentinin, a beta-glucan polysaccharide with documented immunomodulatory properties. Here's why that matters for CKD. Chronic kidney disease involves a persistent state of systemic inflammation and immune dysregulation. Modulating that immune response gently, through diet, can help reduce the inflammatory burden on already stressed kidneys. Shiitake mushrooms are also low in potassium relative to many other mushrooms, and they have a rich umami flavor that makes a broth deeply satisfying without any salt. Here's the preparation. Take 4 to 6 dried astragalus root slices. They look like flat, yellowish tongue depressors and have almost no flavor on their own. They're essentially a medicinal addition to the broth rather than a culinary one. Place them in a pot with 6 cups of filtered water and bring to a gentle simmer for 30 minutes. This creates an astragalus-infused base broth. Remove the root slices. They are not meant to be eaten. Then add 1 cup of sliced shiitake mushrooms. Both fresh and dried work well. If using dried, soak them first for 20 minutes and add the soaking liquid to the broth as well. It's rich in nutrients and flavor. Add 2 cloves of garlic, a 1-inch piece of fresh ginger sliced thin, and a small piece of kombu seaweed, about a 2-inch strip. The kombu adds a natural, mineral-rich depth of flavor and contributes iodine and trace minerals. Simmer everything together for another 20 minutes. Season very lightly, if at all. If needed, a tiny splash of low-sodium tamari, about half a teaspoon, provides that final savory note without a significant sodium hit. The resulting broth is clear, deep amber brown, slightly earthy, and remarkably satisfying. Serve 1 cup to 1.5 cups as a broth soup with the mushrooms as the main solid component. This is particularly excellent as an evening meal or a late afternoon snack for patients who experience significant nocturia, the nighttime urination, because it is gentle on the kidneys at a time when they need to be doing restorative work rather than processing a heavy meal. Cost per batch of 4 servings, approximately $7 to $9, slightly higher due to the astragalus root, but still very accessible. Important note: if you are on immunosuppressant medications following a kidney transplant, please discuss astragalus with your transplant nephrologist before using it, as it can theoretically interact with those medications. For my CKD stage 3 and 4 patients who are not on immunosuppression, this soup is one of the most powerful additions to their weekly meal plan. Soup number 4 is going to shift gears into something that directly addresses high creatinine from a completely different angle: the role of specific amino acids and how a simple, traditional American ingredient that your grandmother probably cooked with can become one of your kidney's best allies. Soup number 4: white bean and rosemary minestrone. Now, here's where I want to address something that confuses a lot of CKD patients and honestly causes some unnecessary dietary restriction: the question of whether beans and legumes are safe for kidney patients. You may have heard conflicting advice on this. Some sources say avoid beans because of potassium and phosphorus. Others say beans are fine. Let me give you the clinical nuance, because the truth is more specific than either extreme. The key insight, and this is something most online videos get wrong: is that the phosphorus in plant-based foods like white beans is predominantly in a form called phytate-bound phosphorus, also known as phytic acid. Your body cannot fully absorb this type of phosphorus. The absorption rate of phosphorus from plant sources is estimated at roughly 40 to 50%, compared to 60 to 70% or higher from animal protein sources and nearly 100% from inorganic phosphorus additives found in processed foods. This distinction is critical, and it's supported by research published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology. It means white beans, when properly prepared, carry a significantly lower effective phosphorus burden than their total phosphorus content on a nutrition label might suggest. White beans are also a source of what I call creatinine buffering protein, plant protein that provides essential amino acids without the heavy acid load that animal proteins generate. When your kidneys are compromised, the acid-base regulation they normally perform becomes impaired. A diet too high in acid-producing protein, primarily from animal sources, accelerates kidney decline. Plant protein, including from white beans, is associated with lower acid load and has been linked in multiple studies to slower CKD progression. A 2019 study in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that substituting plant protein for animal protein was associated with lower risks of kidney disease progression and mortality in CKD patients. That is significant clinical evidence. Now, here's the preparation method that makes white beans kidney-friendly. You must start with dried beans, not canned. Soak the dried white beans, Great Northern or cannellini both work beautifully, in water overnight. Then drain and discard the soaking water. This step alone leaches out a significant portion of the potassium content. Then boil the beans in fresh water, drain again, and they are now ready to use in your soup. This double liquid method dramatically reduces the potassium content and should be standard practice for any CKD patient using beans. For the soup, sauté 1 medium white onion and 4 garlic cloves in a tablespoon of olive oil. Add the pre-prepared white beans, 4 cups of low-sodium vegetable broth, half a cup of diced zucchini, half a cup of diced white cabbage, and 2 sprigs of fresh rosemary. Rosemary is not just culinary here. It contains rosmarinic acid and carnosic acid, both of which have demonstrated antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity in renal tissue in research settings. Let the soup simmer for 25 to 30 minutes until the beans are very soft and the vegetables are tender. Remove the rosemary sprigs before serving. You can leave the soup as is for a brothy minestrone, or use the back of a spoon to gently mash some of the beans against the side of the pot to create a naturally creamy, hearty texture. No cream required. Portion: 1 cup for early stage 3 patients, up to 1.5 cups for those who are stable. I recommend having this soup for lunch, not dinner, so your kidneys aren't working on a heavier meal during overnight hours. Cost: approximately $5 to $6 for 4 generous servings from dried beans. One critical mistake: do not add pasta, rice, or bread on the side to this soup if you're managing blood sugar alongside CKD, which many of my patients are doing. The refined carbohydrates spike blood glucose, which in turn creates glucose-mediated kidney damage, a double burden for patients managing both diabetes and CKD simultaneously. If you want to add a carbohydrate alongside this soup, a small piece of sourdough bread made from fermented grains is a far better option, as the fermentation process reduces the glycemic impact significantly. We have one more soup to go, and I've saved what I personally consider the most comprehensive kidney support soup for last. It incorporates 5 research-backed ingredients in one bowl. It targets creatinine, GFR, blood pressure, and nighttime urination simultaneously, and it's something I created based on clinical principles and now recommend to nearly every single one of my new CKD patients on their first dietary consultation visit. Let's get to it. Soup number 5, golden turmeric and lentil soup. This is the one I'm most personally proud of, and I want to walk you through it carefully. Not just the recipe, but the reasoning behind every single ingredient choice, because I want you to understand that this isn't just food. This is a precisely designed nutritional intervention in soup form. I call it the Kidney Restore Golden Soup. It's built on a red lentil base with turmeric, cilantro, extra virgin olive oil, and a specific finishing touch that most people would never think to add. And that finishing touch is the key to why this soup uniquely addresses nocturia, the nighttime urination that disrupts sleep for so many of my patients over 60. Let's start with red lentils. Red lentils are one of the most kidney-friendly legume choices available because they are lower in potassium and phosphorus than most other lentils when properly rinsed. Like white beans, much of their phosphorus is phytate-bound and poorly absorbed. But what makes red lentils particularly special for CKD patients is their arginine content. L-arginine is an amino acid that is the precursor to nitric oxide in the body. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It relaxes and widens blood vessels. In the kidneys, better vascular dilation means improved blood flow to the glomeruli, the tiny filtering units, which supports better filtration and can be reflected in improved GFR over time. This is the same mechanism targeted by many blood pressure medications used in CKD, and diet can provide a complementary boost. Now, turmeric, specifically its active compound curcumin, has one of the strongest bodies of evidence in natural medicine for kidney health. A systematic review published in the Iranian Journal of Kidney Diseases reviewed multiple studies on curcumin supplementation in CKD patients and found consistent evidence of reductions in serum creatinine, proteinuria, and inflammatory markers. But here's the critical preparation detail that 95% of people miss. Curcumin has extremely poor bioavailability on its own. Your body struggles to absorb it. The solution? You must always combine turmeric with black pepper. The piperine compound in black pepper enhances curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%, according to research published in the journal Planta Medica. This is not optional if you want the clinical benefit. The black pepper is non-negotiable in this recipe. Cilantro is in this soup for a reason that deserves its own moment of discussion. Fresh cilantro has been the subject of research examining its potential as a natural chelation agent, meaning it may help bind and facilitate the excretion of certain heavy metal toxins that accumulate in the body, including in individuals with impaired kidney clearance. Studies in animal models have shown that cilantro may help reduce oxidative stress in kidney tissue. While the human clinical evidence is still developing, the risk-to-benefit ratio of adding fresh cilantro to a kidney-friendly soup is strongly positive. It's safe, it's inexpensive, it adds beautiful brightness to the dish, and the preliminary science is encouraging. Extra virgin olive oil is included because of its oleic acid and oleocanthal content, the latter being a natural COX inhibitor with anti-inflammatory properties similar in mechanism to ibuprofen, without the kidney-damaging effects that ibuprofen actually carries. In fact, NSAIDs like ibuprofen and naproxen are among the most dangerous medications for CKD patients to use regularly. They constrict blood flow to the kidneys and can cause acute kidney injury on top of chronic damage. Olive oil gives you some of that anti-inflammatory benefit through a kidney-safe pathway. Now, the finishing touch I promised. Just before serving, add 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice directly to the bowl. Here's why this matters specifically for nocturia. Lemon juice is rich in citrate. Urinary citrate is a natural inhibitor of crystal formation in the kidneys, including calcium oxalate crystals, which can contribute to kidney tubular irritation. Low urinary citrate is associated with both kidney stones and with nocturia in some patients, because tubular irritation increases the signaling that triggers urgency. By adding citrate through lemon juice regularly, you are supporting a more optimal urinary chemistry. This is actually a strategy used clinically. Nephrologists sometimes prescribe potassium citrate supplements for exactly this reason. But fresh lemon juice is a food-first, safe, inexpensive way to deliver citrate. Here's the preparation for the full soup. Rinse 1 cup of red lentils thoroughly under cold water until the water runs clear. This reduces surface starches and some potassium. In a pot, heat 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil on medium heat. Add 1 medium white onion diced, 3 garlic cloves, and 1 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger. Sauté for 5 minutes. Add 1 heaping teaspoon of ground turmeric, half a teaspoon of ground cumin, and a generous amount of freshly ground black pepper, at least a quarter teaspoon. Don't be shy with the black pepper here, it's critical. Stir the spices into the oil and aromatics for about 60 seconds to bloom them. This step intensifies their flavor and bioavailability significantly. Add the rinsed red lentils and 4 cups of low-sodium vegetable broth plus 1 cup of water. Bring to a gentle boil, then reduce to a steady simmer for 25 minutes, stirring occasionally, until the lentils have completely dissolved into a thick, creamy, golden soup. Thin with additional water if needed. Taste and adjust. You may add a tiny pinch of sea salt if your doctor has not restricted sodium further. Serve hot with a generous handful of fresh cilantro leaves over the top and 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice squeezed directly into the bowl at serving time. Portion, 1 to 1.5 cups per serving. Serve for dinner, at least 2 hours before bed to allow some digestion before sleep. Cost, approximately $4 to $5 for 4 servings. This is one of the most cost-effective kidney protective meals you can make. I recommend cycling through the 5 soups in this video on different days of the week, so you're getting diverse phytonutrients, diverse anti-inflammatory compounds, and diverse kidney support mechanisms working in complementary ways across your week. Bonus: important notes, mistakes to avoid, and practical tips. Before I close with my final thoughts, I want to spend just a few minutes on the practical realities of incorporating these soups into your life, because good information without good implementation doesn't help anyone. First, always get your creatinine, GFR, potassium, phosphorus, and albumin labs checked regularly, ideally every 3 months if you're in stage 3 or 4 CKD. These soups are designed to complement your medical care, not replace it. If your nephrologist or primary care physician has given you specific dietary restrictions that differ from what I've described today, their guidance for your individual case always takes precedence. CKD management is not one size fits all. Second, consistency is everything. I've had patients who tried one kidney-friendly meal and then checked their creatinine a week later expecting dramatic change. That's not how this works. The human body responds to sustained dietary patterns over weeks and months. What I am telling you, based on 25 years of clinical experience, is that patients who commit to an anti-inflammatory, kidney-protective dietary approach consistently, not perfectly, but consistently, do better over time than patients who rely on medications alone. The research supports this, including data from the DASH diet studies and plant-based diet interventions in CKD populations reviewed by the National Kidney Foundation. Third, hydration. Many seniors over 60 are chronically underhydrated, partly because the sensation of thirst diminishes with age, and partly because those experiencing nocturia try to limit fluids to reduce nighttime trips to the bathroom. I understand that logic completely, but it can backfire. Mild chronic dehydration actually concentrates urine and increases the work your kidneys must do to filter waste. For CKD patients, the right approach to fluid management is always personalized. Your nephrologist should guide you on your specific fluid targets, but in general, for stage 3 patients without significant fluid retention, adequate hydration is protective, not harmful. Fourth, be careful with over-the-counter supplements. Many supplements marketed as kidney cleanse or kidney support contain high doses of herbs like parsley extract, juniper berries, or dandelion, some of which can actually be nephrotoxic at high doses or interact with CKD medications. The 5 soups in this video use food-form doses of kidney-supportive ingredients, which are categorically safer than concentrated extracts. If you want to explore supplements, please review them with your nephrologist first. The Mayo Clinic and the National Kidney Foundation both caution against unsupervised supplement use in CKD patients. And finally, the #1 mistake I see CKD patients make with soups and cooking in general is reaching for the salt shaker. Sodium drives blood pressure, and blood pressure drives kidney damage. I know unsalted food feels bland at first, but here's a secret my patients learn quickly. When you use fresh herbs generously, bloom your spices properly, roast your vegetables before adding to soups, and finish with fresh citrus juice, you do not need salt to make food taste extraordinary. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks for your taste palate to recalibrate after reducing sodium significantly, and after that transition period, my patients consistently tell me they can't believe how satisfying their food still is. Final takeaway. I want to close this video with something I say to every new patient who walks into my clinic worried about their kidneys. Your kidneys have been working for you every single minute of every single day of your entire life. Right now, as you're watching this video, your kidneys are filtering your blood, regulating your blood pressure, balancing your minerals, and doing about a dozen other things that keep you alive and functioning. They deserve your attention. They deserve your care. And the beautiful thing, the thing I genuinely believe with every year of experience I have, is that the kidneys have a remarkable capacity to respond to the right support. You are not powerless in this. Stage 3 CKD is not a sentence. Stage 4 CKD, for many patients, can be stabilized and managed for years with the right approach. Every bowl of soup in this video represents a choice you can make tomorrow morning. A concrete, science-backed, affordable action that says to your body, I'm paying attention. I'm fighting for you. That matters. It matters clinically, the data shows it, and it matters personally, because how you feel, how you sleep at night, how much energy you have, how clearly you think, all of that is connected to how well your kidneys are doing their job. I want to hear from you. Please leave a comment below telling me which of these 5 soups you're going to try first. Tell me your city and state. Tell me how long you've been managing CKD and what's been your biggest challenge. Because I read these comments, my team reads these comments, and your question might become the topic of our next video. If this video helped you, please share it with a family member, a spouse, a friend, anyone over 60 who is managing kidney disease and might not know this information exists. One share from you could change someone's health trajectory. That is not an exaggeration. Hit that subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and check the description below where I've linked to the National Kidney Foundation and Mayo Clinic resources I referenced today. My name is Dr. David Miller. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of those kidneys. They are absolutely worth it. I'll see you in the next video.